on behalf of MMBGIMS to day 2 of our 7-day research methodology workshop. The topic for today is identification and formulation of research. Our eminent speaker for today's session is Dr. Chandrahauns Chavan. Dr. Chavan is a dedicated and sincere academician whose passion lies in academic leadership. As a senior professor at Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, University of Mumbai, he was the youngest director, serving 2 terms from 2006 to 2009 and 2015 to 2018. He has received numerous awards for his 3 decades of expansive contribution to academics. He has spent 8 years with the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India as assistant and joint director. Dr. Chavan's research work is commendable. He has published 161 research papers in reputed journals indexed in Web of Science, Scopus, ADBC, UGC Care List, Double Blind Review. He has edited 6 books, written 7 books, and has successfully guided 15 PhD students and 5 MPhil candidates. He serves on various advisory boards of universities, statutory organizations, and industries. Dr. Chavan has successfully organized, curated, and addressed seminars, conferences, as well as workshops, FDPs, on diverse areas of management and industry verticals. His significant contributions to reforming the teaching and learning process through innovative pedagogies are recognized at JBIMS as well as across all academic institutions. I would request Vidya ma'am to please welcome Sir to begin the session.
Thank you very much
Dr.
for the nice
Chavan.
introduction. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. Can you hear me, madam?
Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Please start.
Thank you. Thank you. I just share my screen. Just 1 minute. Can you see my screen, madam? Hello?
No, sir.
Just allow me to share the screen.
Sure.
How many participants are there?
There are about 70.
Very good, very good.
Sir, may I request you to please try sharing the screen? We have already reached 90 participants now, ma'am.
90?
Yes, and we are admitting another 20, 30. They are in the lobby.
Just 1 minute. You can see my screen now, madam?
No, sir.
No.
Now? Hello?
Nine. No.
No, sir. We can just.
So where is the? Now you can see?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
we
sir.
can see
Yes,
the screen.
yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah, 1 minute. So there's an echo. Hello.
Yeah.
Why there's an echo?
Hello, sir. This is Professor Sabir.
There
Yeah,
is a echo.
I'll assist you with respect to this. Sir,
Yeah.
you have connected through two device. So request you to disconnect the audio of second device.
Just 1 minute. So what is this technical difficulties?
Sir, please try now.
Sabir,
Sir? Yes, ma'am.
are you admitting people who are waiting in the lobby?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Sir, please try now.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, yes.
You can see now?
Yeah,
Hello? Oh, just 1 minute. I hope you can see the screen.
we can, and there's no echo. So please start.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. Thank you. So nice of you. And thank you for a nice introduction and inviting me to share a few insight on the research problem, how to identify the research problem. Because I know this topic play a very significant role when you select any research, be it academic research or be it industry research or a business research. So appropriate identification of research problem play a significant role. So if you rightly identify the problem, definitely you can reach to appropriate solution. So in that respect, it is very important. And especially when you talk about the PhD research or academic research, so appropriate identification of research problem play a very significant role in the research. So what is the objective of my session? I will try to cover how to identify and formulate the research problem and how to raise a research question, because research question also plays a significant role, and how enough from an abstract idea. So you must be having any abstract idea. So you may be having interest in horticulture, you may be interest in aeronautical study, you may be interest in marketing, you may be interest in agriculture, any abstract idea you are interested in, and out of that idea, how one can zero on or narrow down to a research problem which is justifiable to the PhD research. So in that way, I will be just try to giving you some insight today, so that for the beginners it will be very beneficial. And even though for the academician also, you do a lot of research in terms of your um, publication in a ABDC journal or a Web Science journal or any reputed journal. So appropriate identification of problem play a significant role. So in that respect, I will give you some insight. Okay. Similarly, how to link and understand this concept to research study. So again, this is very important. Appropriate identification of the research problem, appropriate identification of research questions, appropriate identification of research objectives, appropriate identification of research hypothesis play a significant role. So 50% of your research study normally will be a successful if you rightly identify the research problem, and if you take care of all these four elements which I just said. One is the research problem, research question, research objective, research hypothesis, and similarly appropriate identification of research variables and association of these variables and building a conceptual framework. So if you are strong in this area, definitely your research study will be very systematic, and you will not find any difficulty to carry out the research, any research in terms of applied research, or it may be pure research, basically in the applied research. So in that respect, I will be just trying to give you some insight, and similarly I will also give you the major areas of research in terms of commerce and management. So what are the various areas you can think of, and you can narrow down to appropriate research problem. So in that respect, I will just trying to cover these aspects in this session. So formulation of research problem play a significant role, which is very crucial stage in the research process. So which can determine which problem you are going to be solved, which also determine what are the objective of research, which also determines the purpose of the research, right? So there are different types of research design. You must be knowing it. There are three kind of research design. One is the exploratory research design, descriptive research design, correlational research design. We also call it as causal research design. Even if you rightly identify the research statement, the research statement itself will give you some hint what kind of research design it is. So it is very important to actually identify a right problem, and if you rightly identify the research problem, definitely you can get a appropriate lead to accomplish your research study. So the crucial first stage in the research process determine the problem to be solved, and the objective of the research is nothing but a research problem, which decide what you want to find about the research study, again, which is very important, which identify your destination, what you intend to do in the research, again, which can be determined on the basis of your research problem. And importantly, it's a problem definition or a problem statement is a clear, precise statement of a question or issue is to be investigated with the goal of finding an answer or a solution. So, normally I am in the RRC. I am an RRC in good number of universities, all 4 to 5 state of universities. I am in the RRC committee, and normally, almost 15 to 20% or 30% proposals are rejected, not because of their understanding about the research, but importantly because of their research statement, which is not justifiable and not appropriately constructed, and similarly the appropriate methodology was not justifiable to a given research problem. So because of that, normally 30% proposals are rejected. So it is very important to understand and construct a clear research statement which is justifiable to a PhD research. So again, Anna, you need to evaluate the problem in the light of financial resources, time available, your supervisor's expertise, and these are the various aspects. Again, we are going to discuss in during this process. So even Albert Einstein says that the identification or the formulation of the problem is often more essential than its solution. So if you rightly identify the research problem, definitely you can rightly adopt the research methodology, and you can come to a solution which can be generalized. So generalization of your findings also play a significant role, and which should be the basic objective of the research. So if you rightly identify, definitely 50% of your job will be done if you rightly identify the research problem and the associated element which I have just spoken pertaining to the research variables, objectives, research questions, and the hypothesis. So Research problem again is nothing but if you do not have a specific idea for the basis of your research inquiry, the idea must be researchable. Again, it's very important. So why normally, the interested PhD candidate, we ask them to see the literature, go through the literature, and try to understand what you are going to study. That plays a very important, because for the beginners, I will be giving you some insight today for how the beginners can construct a research statement from an abstract idea. I will be taking one or two examples, and through that examples, I will be giving you some insight. So how you can zero down or narrow down to appropriate research statement on the basis of your abstract idea. So sometimes what happens, you do not have idea about the research, the gravity of the research, the problem definition, and the methodology. So in that respect, it is very important to go through the literature review. So the literature review, suppose if you wanted to do a literature or a study on entrepreneurship, or on a marketing domain area, or any horticulture, or any subject. So it is very significant to go through the literature review. The literature review give you some insight. The idea should be researchable, and that idea can leads to you for appropriate research design. So it is very important. The idea must be researchable. All ideas, research question may not be able to transform to research problem, and some may prove to be extremely difficult to study. So it is very important. Sometimes what happens, people, those who the budding researcher come to the research, the PhD interviews, and they focus on XYZ topic, and they insist that I would like to do a research on so and so area. But it is not their issue, and it is not their problem. Sometimes they are not actually gone through the insight about the topic, and whether that topic is sufficient enough, which can be justifiable for the PhD research, and the PhD can be done on that topic, is also very important. So in that respect, the research methodology and your idea of a research has to be go along with it. So it is very important that you need to knowledge in the area in the subject area, and similarly you also have a knowledge pertaining to the research methodology. So your ideas should be amalgamated appropriately with the research methodology. Then only you can derive a value out of your research, which is again very important. So all ideas cannot be actually it is very difficult to carry out the research, but some of the idea, if it's appropriately amalgamated with the research methodology, definitely you can accomplish the research which is desirable for the PhD or for any good research paper, or maybe for the um, uh, applied research or any other research agency. So this is again very important. If one wants to solve a problem, one must generally know what the problem is. The large part of the problem lies in knowing what one is trying to do. Again, this is very important. So research problem may take a number of forms, simple to complex. It is not, it's always, it is a complex. But again, even though if you are working in the industry, and if you want to solve a XYZ problem, if you rightly identify the problem, and if you rightly actually try to solve it with the appropriate scientific method, definitely you can derive value out of it and you can solve the problem. So always, and all the problems are not in complex in nature. Be it can be a small problem or it can be a complex problem. So scientific method plays a very important role to solve the problem, so that you can generalize your research finding, which is again very important. So the way you formulate a problem determines almost every step that follows. The formulation of the problem is like that: input into a study and the output, the quality of the content of the research report. So garbage in, garbage out. So it is very important to appropriately identify and formulate a research problem, and then you need to adopt the appropriate research methodology to carry out your research, which is again very important. So every research problem has divided into any of these P actually. So source of research problem. So these are the 5 source of research problem. Your research problem may be pertaining to the people, maybe the individual level, maybe at the committees level, maybe it can maybe pertaining to the problem, issues and problems relating to a people lives, maybe pertaining to the phenomena, to existence of a reality, maybe pertaining to the program, to evaluate the effectiveness of an intervention. So every research problem you just come across, when you come across, it may be out of this 4 P's, right? So you need to rightly identify which P you are going to study, and accordingly you need to uh, actually frame your research title, and similarly collect the data to generalize the finding. So the research study has two aspects. One is the study population, and the other aspect is the subject area. So, and all these 4 P's are divided into these two areas. One is of a study population, and the second one is of the study area. So what is this study population and the study area? This is the basic aspect of the research problem. When you talk about study population, it may be pertaining to the people. And when you talk about the people, it may be the study pertaining to the individual, the study pertaining to the organization, the study pertaining to the groups, the study pertaining to the communities, right? So they provide you the required information, or you collect the information from about them. So it is very important. So what should be your study area and the study population? So normally, Anna, when I ask the student, what is your unit of analysis? So they don't actually understand it appropriately, right? And they don't actually, they sometimes they get humble, so they don't answer it. So the unit of analysis is nothing but a study population, right? So it may be the individuals, it may be the organization, maybe the groups, and maybe the communities. So identification of the unit of analysis, right, play a significant role, so that you can rightly construct a questionnaire and collect the data from the respective respondent, which is again very important. So unit of analysis is nothing but the study population, maybe the individuals, organization, groups, and communities. So that identification play a significant role. So when you talk about the subject area, so the problem, the when you are going to study about the problem, it may be pertaining to the issues, it may be the pertaining to the situations, it may be pertaining to the associations, it may be the pertaining to needs, it may be the pertaining to population, it may be pertaining to the composition, it may be pertaining to profiles, and etc. And when you talk about the problem program, it may be pertaining to the content, it may be pertaining to the structure, it may be pertaining to outcomes, attributes, satisfaction, consumers, service providers, etc. And when you talk about the phenomena, maybe cause and effect, relationship uh, of these between the variables, relationships between the two situations, a relationship between the two phenomena, and here right identification of the research problem, research situations, phenomena play a significant role to establish the relationship, right? Whether it is um, uh, in the positive or negative direction. So all these aspects plays very important role. So when you talk about the research problem, it is very important as a researcher, you need to identify the aspect of the study, whether it is of a study population, or whether it is of the subject area, or it is a both. And then accordingly, you need to identify the P, which may be pertaining to the people, which may be pertaining to the phenomena, it may be pertaining to the problem, program, or etc. So because out of these 4 P's, you will be collecting the data from the unit of analysis, and through which you will be actually analyzing whatever the data you get through by collecting primary or secondary data and coming to the conclusion. So it is very important as a researcher to identify the 4 P's of the research problem. So when you are selecting, I will be taking you 1 or 2 examples, and I just told you that I will be giving you some insight today how one can construct a research problem by actually having the abstract idea. You must be having a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas. So I must be having a lot of abstract ideas. How the abstract idea can be appropriately converted into a research statement. With example, I will be giving to you some insight today. So again, these aspects play a very important role when you are selecting a research problem. The research study may be manageable. The research, you are motivated, again plays very important role. Your interest, your urge, your inclination play a significant important role, right? The magnitude of important, and that is a significance of the research. Normally we write also in the research study, what is the significance of the research study? So significance of the research study also play very important, especially when you are doing a PhD research. So take us now, and we are from the management domain area. So always, and there are two kind of research problems. One is of pure research and one is of applied research. So normally what happen, management study research fall under the category of applied research, or it can be a pure research. But again, it's very important that whenever you are actually selecting a problem, make sure that the problem statement or the problem area should be applied in nature. So whatever the findings which are coming out of the research study should be applicable to solve certain problem, and similarly to address some social issues, so which can be play a significant role in your career also. And definitely something out of this research study can be benefited to the society. So in that respect, when you are selecting a research topic, make sure that it should have a significance which play a significant role, right? And you will be, suppose if you are starting a research study or a PhD in mid 30s, so another 30 to 40 years you will be remaining in the domain area, right? And that area should be innovative in nature, and similarly it has some significance. So and definitely you will be doing a career in that domain area. So while selecting a research problem, you should not be in a hurry. Think twice and select such a area. It should have a significance in the management domain, which is again very important. The study also should be manageable within the time and the resources, again very important. So when you are actually selecting a topic for your PhD research, these aspects plays very important role. At the initial stage, people are very motivated, and similarly during the process, they lose their interest. That should not happen. You should be motivated, and if the study is manageable, and if you have interest, if you have urge inclination, and if you have a significance, definitely in a research study will definitely give you some insight, and it will also play a significant role in your career. So how to identify and formulate the research problem from a broader abstract idea and convert into researchable statement from an abstract idea. So this, and with the example, I will be giving you some insight today. So it will be beneficial to you. Just 1 minute. So how one can convert it into appropriate researchable statement from your abstract idea. So it may be beneficial to your PhD research. It may be beneficial to your major research. Normally, ICSSR and other funding agencies, CII and other funding agencies, good give, or there are certain projects funded by the Department of Technology, right? And there are Department of Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Information Technology, right? Ministry of Higher Education for a funding project of more than 1 crore rupees. So this can be beneficial to you for your research, PhD research, maybe for the major research project, minor research project, or maybe a research paper where you can publish in a good journal of ABDC, and similarly Web of Science, UGC Careless, and other journals are there. And in that respect, if you rightly identify a research statement, and if you rightly worked on that, definitely it has some significance. So I will be giving you some insight. This is called also called a 7-step approach for formulating a research statement. And what is that 7-stage approach? Is nothing but step number 1, which is again very important, is identify a broad field or a subject area of interest to you. So it is very important. Suppose would like to do research in information technology, or my area was a management information system. I have selected MIS is my area. Some of you may be having interest in hospitality. Some of you may be interested in e-business. Some of you may be interested in online consumer buying behavior. Some of you may be interested in entrepreneurship. Identify the broad area where you have an interest in, and then the second step is dissect that broad area into sub areas. So again, this is very important, how you can dissect this uh, mm, uh, broad area into sub area. Your understanding about the subject, your knowledge about the subject, right? And if you don't have a knowledge pertaining to, do some sort of literature review, try to understand the subject, try to explore the subject, and with that you just try to create different alternatives, right, out of that subject, right, and dissect the broad area into sub area. So, and then in the step number third, you have to select out of that sub dissected areas, you select one sub area, right, which is of most interest to you, and then you can start working on that. So how one can do it, with the example also that I will be taking you so that you can understand better. And then that subject area that's which you are selected for you out of your interest, right? That will place you uh, to to write research objectives for your research study. So before research objective, the step number 4 is nothing but to raise research questions. So what is that I want to find about in this sub area? You just have to identify that, and you have to raise a question. What you are going to identify, what you are going to do a research out of this selected area. That is nothing but step number 4. Step number 5 is nothing, formulate the research objectives. This raised question will assist you to actually write a research objectives. So research objectives are nothing but a conversion of your research research questions. So if you rightly raise a research question, that will definitely help you to construct a research objectives. So research questions versus research objectives. So research questions play a significant role. If you rightly identify the research question, definitely you can rightly construct the research objective. That is again very important. The research objectives, which can transform this question into behavioral LM by using action-oriented words, um, like to study, to examine, to explore, to understand, to ascertain, to inquire. So many of the research objectives which actually I come across in the research proposal are actually not in the relevant writing. So always the research objectives start with the action-oriented word, like to study about, to study, to inquire, to examine, to explore, to understand, to ascertain, etc. So all these are action-oriented words. So when you're writing a research objectives, you have to actually write the research objectives with the action-oriented word. Step number 6 is to assess your research objectives and the feasibility study. This is again very important. So at the initial stage of the research, some of the researchers I have just come across, they are very ambitious, right? They have a very wide area of knowledge actually, but they have a subject knowledge about. But again, this aspect play a very important role when you are actually talking about the research, be it a PhD research, minor research, major research. Every research have certain limitations, have a time frame, right? And unless and until users look into these aspects, it is very difficult to accomplish the research study in a given time frame. So it is very important to do some sort of feasibility study, how it is operationally feasible, how it is technically feasible, how it is ethically feasible, how it is social feasible, right? You need to see the time. You need to you also look into the resources. So all these aspects plays very important role, and to assess your research study, which is again very significant. So once you do that, step number 7 is nothing but double check. Double check is nothing but you are crossing with step number 6, right? And then you are making sure that yes, you are confirm about the research study and you are going to do it in and accomplishing in it in a given time frame. So these are the 7-step approach one can follow it while doing research, and this is called as 7-step approach in formulation of the research problem. So what I will do now, I will take uh, um, one example, and with that example I will use some insight so that you can understand how you can identify a research uh, mm, problem from the abstract idea. So what I will do, I will take two interesting examples. One is of alcoholism and the second is a health in reference to COVID-19 pandemic, right? So we have seen in COVID-19, but a lot of actually issues have arisen in terms of health. So in that respect, I will just try to explore this abstract area and try to actually give you some insight about the research methodology and the identification of the research problem. So number one, I will take alcoholism. Now, when you talk about the alcoholism, again, it's a very important social issues, right? But again, you will be laugh how one can do a research on the alcoholism, but you can do a research on alcoholism. Now, this is the uh, abstract idea, right? From this abstract idea, I wanted to zero down or narrow down to an appropriate research statement. So how I can do it? By using a 7-step approach and formulating the research problem. So now my abstract area, the step by step we'll go. My step number one is to identify, and I have just identify my broad area of research study is nothing but alcoholism, right? So out of this alcoholism, I wanted to do a research, and as per my 7-step approach, I wanted to dissect the broad area. Now, while dissecting the broad area, again, it's very important. Your knowledge pertaining to the subject is very crucial. If you do not have a knowledge pertaining to this crucial area, you need to actually research the idea and try to explore it, and then you can dissect it. So it is very important. If you do not have idea, or if you do not have knowledge pertaining to the subject, you need to explore it by referring the literature review, right? So how I can dissect this as per my understanding, bind belief, right? And my knowledge, I will just try to again explore this area. So I will dissect into 5 to 6 important component, and there is no limitation as per your knowledge, as per your experience. You can explore. There is no limitation to explore and dissect the broad area. So I will be dissecting it. One is profile of alcoholics. Two is the causes of alcoholism that I would like to study. Third aspect is the process of becoming an alcoholic that I wanted to study about the research. The fourth one is the effect of alcoholism on the family that I wanted to study. The fifth one is the community attitude towards alcoholism that I wanted to study. And the sixth one is the effect of treatment, the effect of alcoholism, the effect of treatment model on the alcoholism. Now, I have just dissected, just for example, I have dissected the broad area into this 6 sub areas, and out of this, I wanted to study one area, right? So again, when you are selecting that sub area, just make sure that it should be researchable area. Again, it should be the novelty of idea, again, very important. The significance of the very research is also very important. The magnitude of importance is also very important, right? The collection of data, again, very important. You should get the data. It should be manageable within time frame. Your knowledge pertaining to the subject area also plays very important. Your knowledge pertaining to knowledge of your supervisor pertaining to the subject area is also very important. So all these aspects you play a significant role when you are selecting a research program. So in a step number 3, what I will do, I will select the area is effect of alcoholism on the effect of alcoholism on family. So this is my subject area, and I wanted to study about the effect of alcoholism on the family. Okay, you are with me? Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. So effect of alcoholism on family. So this aspect I would like to study out of the research study. So then what I will do, so I will raise a research questions. My step number 4 is to raising a research question plays very research statement we call it is, and research question plays a very important. So when you are writing a research proposal, research statement play very important, research questions plays very important, research objectives play very important, and research hypotheses are also very important. Research variables are very important, right? So all these are very important aspect, and these are the foundation of your research study. So I will be raising the question, what impact has alcoholism on marital relation, right? So this is my first question, and again there is no limitations, but again see to it, at least for your research study, for PhD research study, minimum 5 to 6 research objectives play a significant role. And when you're doing a major research project, again 4 to 5 research objectives plays very important. Minor research, minimum 3 research objectives plays very important role. When you're writing a research paper in a good journal, at least 2 to 3 research objectives plays a very important role. So accordingly, you can raise the research questions. So what impact has alcoholism on marital relations? This is my one question. The question number two, how does it affect the various aspects of children's lives? This is number two. Question number three, what are the effect on family finances? This is number question three. So here, just for sake of example, I have raised three questions, right? Now these research questions will help me to construct my research objectives. So how it will help me now formulate the research objectives? One is the main objectives. Always make sure that your research study should have a two objectives. One is main objective. You can also say that primary objective, and you can also that secondary objective. So always write when you're writing a research proposal, right, or PhD thesis, your research title should be your primary objective, right? And then you actually bifurcate that primary objective. To achieve that primary objective, you need to construct a secondary objective. So my primary objective here in this study is to find out the effect of alcoholism on the family. So this is my research actually primary objectives. And to accomplish this, I would like to actually need to give certain specific objectives, or a secondary objectives are nothing but to ascertain the impact of alcoholism on marital relation. So all these research questions I have converted into research objectives to ascertain the impact of alcoholism on marital relations. Second, to determine the ways in which alcoholism affect the different aspect of children's lives. The third objective, second objectives. And third objective, find out the effect of alcoholism on financial situations of the family. So now see here, my three research questions, which are there, which are here. The impact of alcoholism on marital relations. How does it affect the various aspects of children's lives? What are the effect on family finances? All three research questions I have converted into um, appropriate research objectives to ascertain, and all these are started with the action-oriented word to ascertain the impact of alcoholism on marital relations, to determine the ways in which alcoholism affect the different aspect of children's lives, to find out the effect of alcoholism on financial situations of the family. So I have just converted these three research questions into research objects. So it is very important. So normally I insist the students to raise research questions, raise research questions. So those research questions definitely will assist you to convert the right research statement. Now I will come to number step 6, which is again very important. You have to make sure, right? Um, to assess this objective in the light of the work involved, what is the quantum of work involved, right? The time available to you, again very important. The financial resources at your disposal, right? Your and your research supervisor technical expertise in the area, again very important. So this is very important. So these are the 4 to 5 component. Very important that you need to identify the work, the quantum of work involved. Again, you have to actually correlate what kind of research study you are doing, PhD or minor research, major research, or major funding research of 1 crore project. So you have to decide the quantum of the project, and similarly the significance of the research, and accordingly you need to look into these aspects, right? Time, when availability of the time is also very important. Financial resources are also very important when it is business research, when it is funding agencies research. These are the very important aspect of financial resources. When you talk about the PhD research, other than your fees and other expenditure, there is no much, but again, your availability of time in that 3 to 4 years again play a significant role. So in that respect, you need to consider the time and financial resources, and importantly, try to see your knowledge pertaining to the subject, and similarly supervisor's knowledge, right? So at the initial stage, sometimes it is better to change the topic completely if you are not comfortable with it, right? And if you are 50-50%, if you are not sure about, and if you are not 100% to accomplish the research study, and with the 50% you are going with that, so try to avoid that. So make sure that you are 100% satisfied about the research topic, right? And then if you are actually going and accomplishing the study, you will enjoy it, and you will not find difficulty. So this is very important to make sure about the research study and just try to see whether you are ready with right the available research project to carry on. The step number 7 is to double check, cross check actually, right? One is that you are really interested in the study, again very important, which is very important. Similarly, that you agree with the research objectives, very important, right? Similarly, that you have adequate resources, very important, right? That you have the technical expertise to undertake the study, again very important. That you are motivated, again very important. That has a good significance. So again, this is very important. These are the very important component. You need to cross check with the step number 6 and see your interest, inclination, urge, right? You are comfortable with the research objectives, right? You have adequate resources that you have to see it. Your technical expertise, again very, your motivation level. Sometimes, many times, around now in a batch of uh, 10 students, normally 2 students, right, will have a problem of this motivation. So they will lose somewhere, right, at least 30%, right, and they will not accomplish it. Otherwise, the guide has to actually force them to accomplish it, right? It happens across the PhD research center. So it is very important. That's why in our institution, so unless and until student is well versed with the research study, we never present the proposal to the university. As soon as he get admission, right, and after the admission, we never send his research proposal to the university. So after completion of complete research methodology workshop, coursework, after 6 months, if he's comfortable enough, right, and try to understand every aspect of the research study, right, and he accomplishes the research coursework. Once he complete the research work, and if he get fair idea of the research proposal, then only we conduct his ARC, ask him to present a research study in the ARC. And if the ARC is satisfied with the research proposal, and if the student is comfortable enough, then only we send his research proposal to the university. So after that, there is a no change. So he is clear in his mind. His research study is very clear. He has no doubt about the research study, right? And then he will not look back. He will accomplish his study. So normally, we take at least 8 months, maximum 1 year, right, to complete the research work, and then we send his research proposal to the university. So now again, there is no question. So as soon as you registered, you admitted for the research course, from the day of your registration, the day of your admission, right, you are eligible and your time is calculated. So earlier days, once your research proposal was accepted in the university, then only, and the registration details comes to you, then only your time gets start and submission period will be applicable. But nowadays, at the day of your admission only, you can um, be considered for submission of the research thesis. So there is no question now. After 6 months of your coursework, you can submit your research proposal, and then you can actually enroll for the PhD. So by that time, you can be clear about your research methodology, and you can be clear about your research study. So this is, in that respect, this is very important to understand that step number 6 and step number 7. So, so if you are actually motivated, if there is a novelty of idea, right, and if you are comfortable with the objectives and the appropriate research methodology, definitely you can go ahead with the research, and you can accomplish it, and without any hustle, in a given time frame you will complete. Now I have just asked you, and the converted, I have converted the uh, or dissected the area, like to find out the effect of alcoholism on the family. Now, this is the clear statement of which is can be justifiable for the research, be it for the PhD program, right, or any research problem, right, be it applied research, be it the social research submitted for the ICSSR and all. So, is it a clear statement of a research which can be justified by the PhD or a major research, right? This is no. This is this is not a complete statement. So unless and until it is a complete statement, you actually this research proposal may not be accepted at the university level. So what is the complete research statement? So how one can narrow down to appropriate research statement on this identify research area is nothing but I have just given one or two examples here so that you can understand better. Um, Now these are the two statement I have just constructed just for understanding, right? Just for understanding, right? I have just converted here and dissected the broad area from alcoholism to one dissected area, and from that one dissected area, I have just converted into appropriate research problem area. So a study on an effect of alcoholism on the family of fishermen in Konkan region, right? Now, again, I have just here constructed a study on an effect of alcoholism on the family of mill workers in Mumbai. So this is just example I have just given here to make you understand how one can convert the abstract idea into appropriate research methodology. Now, if you rightly identify the research statement, right, you can rightly give a complete research methodology. Now, what is the research methodology for the topic number one? A study on the effect of alcoholism on the family of fishermen in Konkan region. Now, what is this research design? Now, if you ask me the research design, this research design fall under the category of correlation study that I am just correlating here, right? Cause and effect relationship, right? And similarly, this study also fall under the category of descriptive research. So what is descriptive research? Your descriptive research is describing the phenomena, what, when, where, how, right? All these aspects we are going to study. So when you are actually conducting a questionnaire, when you are designing a questionnaire, and when you are conducting a survey research, so this study fall under the category of descriptive research. This is the one of the insight, right? So when you are conducting a survey and when you are constructing a questionnaire and conducting a survey, it the study falls a descriptive also. And since it is a cause and effect relationship, right? So big alcoholism and its effect on the family. So there is a establishing relationship between the two variables, two situation, two phenomena. So it's a cause and effect relationship. It's a causal study, correlation research. So the study design is descriptive and correlation study, right? Now, what is a unit of analysis? Unit of analysis is nothing but fishermen, those who are alcoholic, right? Okay, unit of analysis. Now, what is the study? What is the sampling method and which can be justifiable for the research? Now, people don't understand what should be the sampling method, right? So they don't have the knowledge about the sampling method. So unless and until you should have a knowledge pertaining to the scientific aspect of the sample design, you should not select the sample and you should not mention in your research study. Now, basically random sampling. In a random sampling, they do a lot of mistakes. So there are two kind of sample method. One is a probability sampling method. The other one is a non-probability sampling method. So what is a probability sampling method? Probability sampling method where you are giving an equal chance for every individual or every unit of analysis for being selected in the sample, right? So there is a probability, right? So probability sample where every individual will get chance of being selected. Whether he is selected or not selected, a different issue, but he will get a chance for being selected. And what are the different types of probability sampling? Random sampling is one method, proportionate random sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster sampling, right? All these are different types of probability sampling method. Non-probability sampling, every unit of analysis may not get chance of being selected in the sample, right? So when the population is infinite, when you are doing a survey in a Bombay and the population is infinite, right? And there is no fixed sampling frame and you're not giving equal chance of every individual for being selected in the sample. So that is a probability sampling, right? Non-probability sampling. So quota sampling, again, then quota sampling, similarly judgmental sample, convenience sample, snowball sample. All these are different methods of non-probability sampling. So you have to select the probability and non-probability. When the population is infinite, right? Consumer buying behavior, right? Online shopping. So you don't have any control on the consumers, those who are actually doing online shopping. So the population is infinite. You cannot go for probability sampling. You should go for non-probability sampling, right? So when the population is infinite, right? Now, in a many of the actually year-long project report, our MBA students do, and they mention, right, where you have collected data. Sir, I have collected data, primary data. How many respondents you have collected? Sir, I have collected 100 respondents. From where you have collected? Sir, I have collected the data from our colleagues, and I have just went to the Churchgate station, and from there also I have just collected some responses, right? And my studies of my sampling method is random. I have collected random sampling. No, it's not random sampling. It's a non-probability sampling. As per your convenience, as per your judgment, with the snowball sampling method, you have selected the sample. So it is not probability, it is a non-probability. So it is very important. And when the population is infinite, right? And if you, it is not a justifiable sample, you cannot generalize the finding. So it is very important when the population is infinite and only 50 or 100 you are selecting and you are accomplishing the research, cannot be generalized the findings. So it is very important. Proportionate sample play a significant role to generalize your research finding. This is very important. Now, here, how you can select the sample. Now, my geography defined in the research study. See here, my unit of analysis is defined, right? Similarly, my geography is also defined, right? My research design is also defined in this. My geography is Konkan region. Now, my research study should be justifiable. My findings should be justifiable across Konkan region. So what I have to do? I have to equally select the sample across the Konkan region. Then only my study will be generalized. So if I collect the data only from one, there are three districts, major three districts: Raigad, Sindhudurg, and Ratnagiri. So these are the three districts in Konkan region. So if I select the data only from the Raigad district, and if I come to know that, so these are my research finding, and if I try to apply to the Konkan region, no, it is not applied to the Konkan region, because the data pertaining to the Raigad, Ratnagiri district and Sindhudurg district, you are not collected in the sampling. So it is very difficult. You cannot generalize it. So it is very important to generalize. So what I will do, I will here, if I'm a researcher, what I will do, at least 600 sample I will select. Proportionately with the quota sampling, I will define a quota. From Raigad, I will select 200. From Ratnagiri, I will take a 200. From Sindhudurg also, I will take a 200. Right? The fishermen and their family, those who are alcoholic, right? From them, I will select the data. I will adopt the non-probability sampling method, snowball sampling method, and collect the data from this 600 families where the fisherman is alcoholic, and try to analyze the data and come to the conclusion, right? And from even Raigad also, if I again percolate, I will have to percolate down and justify to each talukas of Raigad. I will identify, and for each taluka also give some quota, so that I can generalize the finding to Raigad also. I can generalize the finding to Konkan, Sindhudurg, as well as the Ratnagiri district. So these are the different intricacies, technicalities one has to identify, and one has to know when you are actually collecting the data. So my research study out of this statement is complete and clear. My statement is clear. My objectives are also clear, right? My unit of analysis is clear, right? My geography is also clear, right? How I will be collecting the sample, that is also clear. So there is no ambiguity. And I will write a research proposal accordingly. I will give some introduction. I will do some literature review. I will also give my research statement. I will give my research questions. I will give my research objectives. I will also give my research variable and their um, uh, associations. So there is a different topics altogether: identification of research variables and constructing a conceptual framework, right? Is nothing but the foundation of the research study. I will need one more session for that. It's a completed separate topic: identification of research variables and constructing a conceptual building, model building. And that is again very important component of your research proposal, right? So here my research design is clear, right? Similarly, my sample size is clear, sampling method is also clear, My method of data collection is also cleared. What I will be doing, I will be collecting both the kind of data, primary data uh, from the 4Ps that also been clear, and I will be collecting a primary data. I will also be collecting secondary data, right? My instrument for data collection is also clear. I will be collecting, I will be constructing a questionnaire. I will be conducting a personal interview. I will be also conducting a focus group, right? So I will collect, I will just I will talk to the group of fishermen who are sitting together every night or occasionally, right, and drinking together. I will conduct their interviews, collecting them, and conduct a focus group interview also. So I will follow in methods to collect the data, and I will have some also observation, and through observation I will also collect some data, and I will try to analyze and come to the research finding. So from the research statement, see, from the abstract idea, how I just brought you to a appropriate research statement and giving you the complete research methodology and the research proposal. Now, this is very important. Now, second example also, a study on effect of alcoholism on the family of mill workers in Mumbai. Similarly, you must be knowing that before 20 years or 30 years, 25 years back, the mills which were there in Bombay Central, right, and were actually um, were locked down because of the strike and etc. And a lot of mill workers have become alcoholic. So if I want to do research and come out with my social finding, which can be applicable to resolve the social issues, right? In that case, I can actually do this kind of research, and it can be beneficial to the society, or maybe some insight can be provided to the government to take appropriate actions in terms of mills and their workers, right? So again, my geography I can define, right? Mumbai Central or across the Mumbai also, from four regions, I will collect the data and analyze it, and I can come to the conclusion, and which can be generalized, which can be applicable. So when you're talking about the management research, it's very significant and important to um, have the research which has applied in nature, right? I will take one more example and give you some insight about the health. Now, health and during COVID-19 and we have actually suffered. Everybody has suffered, right? Many of the our colleagues, right, family members have lost their life, right? Um, and in that account, and I will be taking this example, health with reference to COVID-19 infection. This is my abstract area, broad area that I wanted to do a research on health, and accordingly, I will try to dissect the health services provided to the community, right? Again, your knowledge, right? Your motivation, your understanding, your experience, but in the subject plays a very important role to dissect the broad area into sub areas. Again, effectiveness of the services. The third one is the cost of the services, right? The health insurance schemes available to people during that infection, right? The training of health professionals to provide good services, right? Adherence to the ethics in health services. Again, major issue was there. Everybody has knows it. Then attitude of the consumer towards health services, right? Providing agencies, community responsiveness in the delivery of the health services during COVID-19 infection. So I have just dissected into 8 areas. So there is no limit. You can extend it as per your knowledge, as per your understanding, and create a list of dissected area and just try to find out which is of most interest to you. So health services provided to the community, effectiveness of the services, cost of the services, health insurance schemes available to people, training of the professionals, adherence to ethics in health services, attitudes of the consumer towards health practice services, community responsiveness in delivery of health services during COVID-19 infection, right? So what I have selected the area is this. community responsiveness in the delivery of health services during COVID-19 infection. So a lot of actually issues were there in terms of community responsiveness in the delivery of the health services during COVID-19 infection, right? Right. And a lot of issues have arisen during this period. In that respect, I will be raising the questions on the given dissected area is nothing but how do the health administration, planners, service providers, and consumers define community responsiveness? Okay, this is my one question. How can community responsiveness be achieved? Right? What indicators can be used to evaluate the effectiveness of community responsiveness strategies? So there is no limitations, right, of raising the questions, how you think, how you understand the subject, how you wanted to explore it, what is your literature review, what is the gap study you want to identify and research. All these aspects plays a very important role to raise the questions. Just for example, I have just raised three questions. How do the health administration, planners, service providers, and consumers define community responsiveness? How can community responsiveness be achieved? What indicators can be used to evaluate the effectiveness of community responsiveness strategies? All these three issues I would like to study. So I have raised it, and then accordingly I have just converted into research objectives to evaluate the effectiveness of strategy in delivery of the health services during COVID-19 infection, right? And this is my primary objective. So again, very, very important. Always write your primary objectives. Your primary objective is always of your research title, right? So when you're writing a research thesis or research proposal, write a primary objective of your research thesis, which is again very important. To achieve the primary objectives, you have to write like that actually in a statement. My primary objective of the research study is so and so. To achieve the primary objectives, these are my sub objectives or my specific objectives. To find out the understanding of concept, community responsiveness among health administrators, planners, service providers, and service consumers. Okay. Two, to identify the strategies to implement the concept of community responsiveness in the health services. Three, to develop a set of indicators to evaluate the effectiveness of the strategies used in implementation of community responsiveness. Now, these are my three objectives that I'm going to study. And again, I'm just telling you, there is no limitations as per your understanding. You and wanted to, if you want to explore the topic, you can explore the topic by constructing the various research objectives. Now, step number 6 and 7. Step number 6 and 7 is the remain same, which you followed in earlier example. That you are understanding the subject, you urge, inclination, motivation, time availability of the time, novelty of ideas, significance of the subject. You should be motivated to it, right? And your knowledge pertaining to the subject, your supervisor's knowledge pertaining to the subject, your comfortability in accomplishing the subject, right? All these aspects play a very important role. And if you are actually thorough with this, then you should go. Otherwise, drop the idea. Now, normally, I also suggest these aspects to our student actually. Now, when the student come to our when they come to JBIMS, we conduct a rigorous workshop. I am a PhD coordinator from last 15 years, and we conduct the actually coursework. In the coursework, they have ideas. Initially, they have come up their certain research proposal. They present in during the interview, and they get select, and they will come, and they come. There are at least more than 50 to 60%, 70%. They change their topic, or they change 50% of their topic. So it happens. So unless and until you get the clarity, you should not go ahead. And suppose if you are not comfortable with the topic, even though if you select the topic at the initial time of your interview, and if you find it not comfortable, you are not comfortable to accomplish it, drop the idea, right? Cross check the step number 6 to 7. Drop the complete idea, take a new topic so that you can accomplish the research study in a given time frame, right? Which is again very important. Otherwise, um, um, if you actually select it and if you're not comfortable and if you're confused with 50% if you're clear, 50% if you're confused. And if you select the topic, you will be in loop and you will not come out of that loop. And you will face a problem, your research guide will also face a problem. And similarly, you will lose your interest during the process. That should not happen. And it happen 20 to 30% of the student, right? Sometimes they are very rigid. They don't want to change the topic. They anyhow were hook or cook. They try to convince the research guide, right? But they don't know how to do it, right? And for that, they request the guide that they should be guide them how to do it. Actually, if you are not comfortable with, if you do not have a knowledge about it, right, you should not venture into actually, right? It's very important. This is an elderly advice when you are selecting a research topic or a research proposal. So it's very important that you should note and cross check the step number 6 and 7, which is very significant. Now, I have just constructed a topic here with that abstract area. Just for example, you can also modify it, convert it, and you can just prepare the topic accordingly. I have just made a study of community responsiveness in the delivery of health services during COVID-19 infection in Western Maharashtra, right? So this the topic I have just constructed. Now, in this topic, my actually respondents are also, there are different types of community. There are different statas. From that strata, I have to collect, right? Right. So I mean, stratified random sampling. It's not applicable stratified random sampling because stratified random sample is a proportional is a probability sampling method. And when I see the Western Maharashtra is a huge geography, and the population is infinite, and there is no fixed sampling frame. So how I can select the probability sampling? The the other alternative for the stratified random sample in the non-probability is quota sampling. So I will fix quota from a different community, right? And then accordingly I will select the sample, right? And then I will just try to collect the data by conducting a structured questionnaire and conducting interview. And according to my research study, I will just analyze the data and try to construct the research hypothesis and accomplish my research study. So this is the again my geography is defined. My geography is Western Maharashtra, right? And this is a descriptive kind of research study and explorative kind of research study. These are descriptive and exploring. Exploring, and there are three different types of research study. I will give you some insight on that. How to identify this is a descriptive, this is a correlational, this is a exploratory. There are certain techniques, and that also I will just give you to make you understand the kind of research study. Understood? I hope you can understood how one can narrow down and zero down to appropriate research statement, research problem area, right? A problem statement from an abstract idea. Hello? 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 Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now the actually problem doesn't end here actually, right? I have just dissected the broad area to sub area and sub area to a research statement. The problem doesn't end here. So there are other issues one has to look into when you're writing a research proposal, right? And accomplishing the research study. So what are those areas? Formulation identification means translating and transforming the selected research problem into appropriate topic, right? A scientifically researchable question. Now, my two statement which I had given earlier, or three statement, right? One is pertaining to the COVID, and there are two pertaining to alcoholism, right? A scientifically researchable statement. Again, I am just saying the statement. See my statement. Scientifically researchable statement means your problem statement should go along with the appropriate research methodology. If you're not amalgamating, right, with the research methodology, you cannot derive the value out of it, nor you can justify the research for the PhD research or any other research. So this is very important. So scientifically researchable question, it sends direction to the problem and it clarifies the problem. Now, my statement is scientifically clarifying the problem, right? and it is giving me direction also, right? It specifies the scope of the research. Yes, it was scope. So in one research COVID situation, the scope of the research study was Western Maharashtra. In one, it was in Bombay. In other, it was a Konkan region. The scope was defined actually, right? It indicates the limitations of the study. It may be pertaining to geography. It may be the pertaining to the fishermen. It may be the pertaining to mill workers. It may be pertaining to the COVID-19 infection. It has certain limitations, right? It establishes major assumptions. So major assumptions again, these are nothing but these assumptions are nothing but a hypothesis, right? So again, there are different types of hypothesis. Yeah? Again, a separate topic, right? I will not touch upon, go into that detail, right? But give you some insight on that later. But this is again, assumptions are nothing but hypothesis. It expresses the content of the problem, bro. It will explore the content of the problem. It provides the economy in the research. So these are the again very important characteristics of the scientific researchable statement, right? Again, play a significant role. Now relate this to quantum of your research study, maybe PhD research, major research, minor research, or ABDC research paper. If you want to publish a ABDC research paper, at least in a category, at least you require 6 months to 1 year. So a lot of work is involved. So all these factors play a significant role when you want to publish a research paper in a category journal, right? So identification of a research problem and formulation of the research problem, right? For the academic research, consideration in selecting a research problem. So these are the important component one has to look into, right? And if you're not satisfied with it, you need to drop the idea of research and select the new topic. I always tell to the budding researcher, if you're not comfortable and if you do not satisfy all these 5, 6 element of your research study, and if you're not comfortable with this, drop the idea of this research, select the new topic and go ahead. Definitely you will accomplish. What is this? Is nothing but researcher interest, a topic of significance is very important. Select a topic of, just don't do it as for doing research. Do it by selecting some important significant topic which can actually add value to you, which can also add value to the domain area of management, and definitely it will also create a good actually career path for you, which is again very important, right? Novelty of your idea, something new, again very important. Researchers resources, again very important. Availability of data is again very important. Again, this is very important. Many of the students, they say, sir, data ही नहीं मिल रहा है, data नहीं मिल रहा है, data मिलना बहुत difficult है. He complete the research study when he has come at the end, at the actually mid of data collection. After accomplishing 40% to 50%, and then he realized, so it is very difficult to get the data. If it is very difficult to get the data, then why you selected the topic? You could have realized it at the earlier, right? You could have dropped the idea if you're not getting the idea. And I'm just telling, if you are doing a primary research and if you find it get, or a secondary research, if you find difficult to get the data which cannot justifiable to your research objectives, drop the idea. Drop the idea of doing research, right? It's very important. And for and don't manage the data from here and there. Actually, you may not come to the actually conclusion, and if you come to the conclusion, it will not generalize the finding, and you will not solve the problem in a scientific manner. So it is very important that if you are not getting the data, drop the idea. Benefit of the research. Benefit of the research. Again, that is significance. Sufficient knowledge, again very important. Feasibility study. You need to do a feasibility study, economic feasibility, social feasibility, ethical feasibility, technical feasibility, operational feasibility, right? So all these are various feasibility study players. So when you're finally submitting the research proposal or for any research, just make sure, or if you're carrying out a business research, just make sure these elements. And if you are 100% sure, go ahead with the research, which is again very important. So again, I have just given here statement. Objectives are the goal you want to attain in your study. Main objectives plus sub-objectives. I have just given you some insight on what is the main objective and sub-objective. The way the research statement, main and sub-objectives are worded determines how your research study is classified. Descriptive, exploratory, experimental, or correlation. Right? The way you hello. Yeah, yeah. You can come at around 2 o'clock. Yeah, okay. So the way you actually construct your research statement, which determines your study design. I will give you some insight on that. So every research is divided into three kinds of research design. One is descriptive, exploratory, experimental, right? So that I will come to later, and I will give you some insight how one can distinguish the research study design on the basis of statement of your research problem, right? And sometimes you are on the basis of your primary research objectives, right? You can actually try to identify the study design. So delimiting the research problem is again very important. So many times students do a lot of mistakes, right? And if you just delimit your research problem, that delimit the other aspect of your research problem, definitely you can accomplish your research study in a given time. So this is very important, the aspect of delimiting the research problem, right? So what is the delimiting the research problem, right? An aspect of delimiting the research problem. One is delimiting the objectives and hypothesis. Don't select too many hypotheses. Objectives कितने हैं सर 12 है. Objectives कितने हैं 13 14 है. Why? Not necessary. If you are doing PhD research, 5 to 6 objectives, clear research objectives more than some. Don't take less than 5 also, not justifiable. At least 5 to 6 research objectives, very important, right? I have just told you, depending upon the type of the research, how what is it. And similarly, 6 to 7 objectives, 6 to 7 hypotheses appropriately is justifiable for your PhD research selected, right? So otherwise delimited. Even though if you are very ambitious, delimited. Select important 6 to 7 research objectives, 6 to 7 research hypotheses. Delimiting certain variables. Too many variables. There are a lot of variables are there. Just find out which are the important variables. Important dependent variables, important independent variables, important moderating variables, important intervening variables. 4 types of variables, right? Right? And delimited. If you just try to concentrate on so many variables, it's very difficult to accomplish it, right? And try to prove also. Because again, variables play a significant role to construct your research hypothesis. So it's very important. Delimiting to geographical area or level, right? So even in our PG programs, if I ask them to what is the geography of your research, sir, pan India, right? And even in the research proposal, I go to many ARCs also. I even go when I see the research proposals, I see the scope of the research study at India level, right? Geography is so wide across India, pan India. When you are selecting a geography across pan India, right? Are you actually deriving the data and justifying data across India, targeting the respondent across India, right? If you're and pan India research study, the scope of the research study is pan India, right? Geographies across India, right? What is the sample size? 500 cells. And from where he will collect the data? He will collect the data on the basis of from Bombay region, right? So now you suggested me pan India research study, scope is pan India. You are collecting data from Bombay. How you can generalize the finding across pan India when you are conducting actually data from Bombay? The research study is restricted to Bombay. So it is very difficult. It is very important to define the scope and geography of your research, which is again very important. And all these are technical mistakes, errors, right? Right? Delimiting to sample size. So I just told you, and the golden rule of sample size. What is the golden rule of sample size? Golden rule of sample size, the maximum sample size, right, will take you to nearer to generalization of the finding. Just see my statement. Maximum sample size, the more you take a sample size, more you are inclined towards generalization of finding, right? So when the population is infinite, right, at least take the justifiable sample size, right? Right. So very important. Even your madam, actually, director madam is exception case. She actually normally insists to her research students, right? Hatkandi madam, it to take a maximum samples. I have just come across, and there are many researchers I have just seen. They actually try to, even though it is an infinite population, they concentrate on 500 samples, right? But when the population is infinite, I also insist my student take not less than 15. It's very important. So maximum sample size definitely will leads for generalization of finding. It's very important, right? Uh, but in that respect, you should not take a sample, right, very large, so that you face a problem in collection of data. So it's very important to appropriately justifiable sample play a very important role to generalize the finding. Delimiting to justifiable and good method of research, again very research methodology, again very important. Delimiting to available tools for measurable variables. So again, there are different statistical tools play a very important role, right? You need to actually use that. Delimiting to most appropriate techniques, right? Data collection technique, even data analysis techniques is very important. So delimiting aspect in your research study is also very significant to accomplish the research, right, in a given time frame, right? So now you must be, there are three views of research. Every research you take, right? Every research, it has a three views. And when you are writing and exploring a research proposal, you have to write and explore it in a three different views. What are the three different views of any research, right? Or viewpoints. One is that the application of a research, whether it is a pure research or whether it is applied research. So when you do research for the sake of your understanding, knowledge, or for extension of knowledge, you are doing a research which is of pure in nature. When you are actually doing a research, right, to try to, when you are trying to solve a research problem, right, and applying the finding to actually resolve the issues, it is applied in nature. So applied research, management research, business research is of applied in nature, which is of problem oriented, action oriented, decision oriented, and action oriented. Remember three words. The management research is a problem oriented, decision oriented, and action oriented. So whatever the problem you are selecting, right, it, or you should select such a problem, we should be of, right, decision oriented and action oriented. The problem, the finding of the research problem should actually resolve the issues and give some insight to the society, right, to resolve the issues, which is very important. So you should select always a topic which is of applied in nature. The third aspect of or viewpoint is of the objective, right? The design aspect. So whether the study is of descriptive nature, whether the study is explorative nature, whether the study experimental and correlation. So what is now distinguishing factors of this? When you are actually describing the phenomena, what, when, where, how, right? And by constructing the questionnaire, collecting data, and addressing these issues, a descriptive nature, describing the phenomena. When you are exploring means you know little about it and try to exploring it, right? When you go to the doctor, right, doctor, and then you are just example, I'm just giving you one example. You go to the doctor and you do not know why there is a pain in your stomach, right? Right. And you just inform the doctor, sir, I have a pain from last 2 days in my stomach, right? And doctor will ask some questions to you, right, about your eating habits and other questions he will ask, and try to explore the phenomena, right? And after that he will understand, and he try to, when he try to explore the phenomena and give some insight and give some medicine to resolve that issue. Likewise, You know little about it, and by investigating, you are exploring the phenomena. It's called as exploratory research, right? And third aspect is experimental or correlation study. So there are different types of variable: dependent variable, independent variable. What is the relationship between these variables? Or there are two situations. What is the relationship between these two research situations? You are just whether these relationships are going in a positive direction or negative direction, whether there is a some moderating variable changing the relationship between these two situations, or two different variables either in a positive direction or a negative direction, right? So that you are identifying, right, and establishing the relationship between the variables, or establishing the relationship between two situations phenomena, and or there is a correlation, right? These studies or experimental research or correlation study fall under this category, right? So it is very important to identification of the right variables, right? And establishing their relationship is very important, right? Uh, and the role of moderating variable. Inquiry mode, whether it is a quantitative and qualitative method. Quantitative, when you talk about more in terms of calculation, numbers, and etc., right? Where you require a large portion of your data, right? And thus analyzing it and thus coming to the conclusion. Qualitative in nature, which is of subjective in nature. With one or two best examples, you can generalize the phenomena, right? You can come to the conclusion, or describing the phenomena and come to the conclusion. So your study can be a quantitative nature, qualitative nature, or qualitative and quantitative. So when you're writing a research proposal, you need to explore it, right, in terms of its application, in terms of its design, in terms of its inquiry mode, right? So these are the three different modes, views of a research, and you need to actually explore the research problem in these three viewpoints, and you have to write the research proposal, or when you're writing the research methodology, you need to write it accordingly. So these are the few examples. Degree of problem definition, how to identify the research problem. I have just given some example here so that you can understand better. In exploratory, you are unaware about the problem. Our sales are declining and we do not know why. Just example. Would people be interested in our new product idea? Right? Just you are trying to exploring by doing the research study. Descriptive research, aware of the problem, but you are actually trying to investigate what kind of people are buying our product, who buys our competitive products. Then after market research, what, when, where, how, etc., all these and a study you will do by describing the phenomena. So what features to buy, do buy buyers prefer in our products? So just try to investigate and find out. Causal research, problem clearly defined. Will buyers purchase more of our products in a new package? Which of two advertising campaign is more effective? So you just try to establishing relationship between the variables or two situations or phenomena. So I've just given one example of each so that you should understand what is the exploratory research, what is the research, descriptive research, and causal research, and how you can define your research problem in these three research design, which is again very important. So there are few examples here. I have just mentioned here. Converting management decisions problems in a research problems. Right? So again, formulation of the research problem and development of the research hypothesis. Right? See here. Now, just as we are from management domain area, these are the different actually decision related problems across the industry. What should be done to increase the customer base of organic products in the domestic market? Now, this is a research problem. This is the decision problem, research problem. What is the awareness and purchase intention of health conscious consumers for organic product? See how that decision problems has been converted into research problem, right? How to reduce turnover rates in the BPO sector? What is the impact of shift duties on work exhaustion and turnover intentions of the BPO employees? Actually, I have just given you some of the examples which is of problem oriented and action oriented and decision oriented related to the industry. How to improve the delivery of just 1 minute. Hello. Yeah. Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Yes, yes. Tomorrow, 24th, not 24th. Yes, yes. Hard copy advertisement, but I will come. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Okay. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Should the community continue with its existing security services vendor or look at an alternative? What is the satisfaction level of the company with the existing vendor? Are there any gaps can be effectively handled by the vendor? So these are the research problems or the decision related problem converted into decision research problem to make you understand. So there are a lot of actually um, issues pertaining to the industry across the section, across the function. So I could have given you some insight about when to conduct a business research, right? And when not, right? So I just more focused on the academic research actually, but there is other aspect also when you talk about the industry research or business research. So when to conduct a business research, right? And now these are the actually and address the various issues. Now when you're talking about uh, the decision problems and research problem, right? There are various issues associated with the industry, right? And when to conduct a research pertaining to the industry, right? The different issue. So I will not concentrate on. I will just try to accomplish this. Then we'll come to that if possible, if time permits. So uh, um, um, uh, importantly, and when you are conducting the business research, there are four aspects plays very important role. One is availability of the data, right? Then significance of the research again plays very important. Level of decision, whether it is operational, strategic, and tactical, and value dimensions of the research finding. So if the value dimension of the research problem, if it is always high, then you should conduct a business research. So there are three aspects one has to conduct when you talk about the business research. One is the availability of the data. If the data is available and there is a problem, and pertaining to the problem, the data is available, you should actually um, analyze it and you can come to the conclusion, right? The second important component is type of decision, whether it is a tactical or strategic and operational. If it is operational in nature, right, it will not be disastrous for the organization if your decision go wrong. But it is a strategic in nature. It is very significant. So you need to identify the scientific method, right? Of scientific method, and then you need to actually take a decision on the basis of your research finding and the value dimension. The value, the estimated value of research, right? The estimated value of research should be always high as compared to estimated cost, right? Means cost of doing research should be always less as compared to the estimated value of the research finding. If the estimated value of research finding is high, definitely you should go for business research. If the estimated value of research finding is low, you should drop the idea of doing research, right? If the cost of conducting research is high, you should drop the idea of doing business research, right? If the level of decision is very low, and if there is no significance of it, you should drop the idea. If the level of decision is very high and it is of strategic in decision, you should conduct the research, right? Right. So these are the various aspects of business research, right, which play a significant role in the organization, because ultimately the finding play a significant role to derive the value for the organization. So what are the various areas and topic of research in the commerce and management? Now these are the n number of topics. For just of I have just dissected it so that you can actually see any area like general business conditions, corporate conditions, financial, accounting area, organizational behavior, human behavior, HR areas, sales and marketing, ICT, corporate governance, business ethics, operation, manufacturing, research across various functions. Functions means marketing functions, sales functions, human resource functions, right? General functions, right? Depending upon the type of industry, there are different functions, right? Research across the various sectors of the industry, right? So you can correlate the research problem to the industry. Right? You correlate the research problem in terms of your vertical of the industry, right? And research across the hierarchy of the organization, levels of management, uh, operational level, tactical level, strategic. So you can actually multidisciplinary research, right? So all these issues and should be reflected, right, into the research statement wherever it is applicable, right? And you can explore that research topic. So it is very important to rightly constructing a research statement and exploring the area by justifiable research statement. Research across the sector vertical. Then now you see there are n number of sector, industrial sector, and a lot of issues are there, right? Manufacturing. Now these are the various areas. See, n number of areas like manufacturing, finance, fine chemicals, petrochemicals, FMCG, right? Meals, leather industry, agriculture products, heavy industries, construction, power industries, merchandising, stockist, trading, insurance, banking, finance, सर्विस इंडस्ट्री, जेम्स ज्वेलरी, एक्सपोर्ट हाउसेस, गवर्नमेंट. सर टॉपिक ही नहीं है, टॉपिक नहीं है, कौन सा टॉपिक ले लो? अरे इतने टॉपिक्स है which are of applied in nature. There are a number of topics across the various sectors. You can take the area and explore it and construct a research statement, do research which is of applicable in nature. लोगों का कंप्लेंट रहता है सर कौन सा टॉपिक, they don't have ideas, right? So there are n number of topics across the management domain area. There is a dearth of topics actually. You can select, and all these are applied in nature, right? And you can accomplish the research, right? And do good research out of it. Research across various functional discipline. Now marketing. I have just dissected few areas. There are a number of other topics also. Pricing of products, um, analysis of market demand and supply, demand estimation and forecasting, effective sales promotion and tools, market segmentation, product identification, new product development, advertising, packaging, designing a product, analyzing consumer buying behavior, managing distribution and channels. Take any one area, dissect it, come to appropriate statement, and write a research proposal and see whether it is justifiable for the research. You can do that. Similarly, finance domain, financial information system, short-term, long-term investment, financial decision, capital structure, dividend decision, financial market, instruments analysis, investment, portfolio, analysis of merger, acquisition, restructuring, international financial management, contemporary developments, financial derivatives, a good number of topics, production, determining plant location, plant layout planning, inventory control, capacity determination, materials execution planning, total quality management, just in time, maintenance. Now, these topics you can relate to a particular industry, and within the industry, sector of the industry, you can again select a appropriate industry, correlate it, construct a statement by appropriately using the scientific method, and you can write a research proposal. Supply chain and logistic management, human resources, manpower planning, recruitment, analyzing causes of job switchers, attritions, conflict management, training development, negotiations, counseling, efficient labor management, external and internal environment, motivation techniques, labor management techniques, leadership skill and management, succession planning. कितने topics है, right? You can identify the research problem out of this topic and you can use for your research. Now this is technology domain, competitive model for industrial structural analysis, information technology and business competitive environment, effectiveness e-business, e-commerce, strategy, corporate system and IT strategy, architecture, infrastructure, IT management, technology innovation and international business, information resources, ICT management, planning, implementation of change in management, CRM, SCM, e-governance. There are a lot of issues. Various e-governance initiative implemented by Government of India, be it your Aadhaar card, be it your right passport, issuing passport, land documentation, registration of companies, right? Even COVID-19 infection controlled by Arogya Setu app, and yeah, even election doing with the help of voting machines. So e-governance initiative, a lot of e-governance initiatives of state governments. Every state has a different e-governance initiatives. One can do pertaining to that. Business intelligence, online business. So all these are various areas you can merge with the interdisciplinary subject and select a topic for your research. I have just for general management, I have just uh, taken one example to make you understand and to know you the geography. So accordingly, according to geography also, you can actually dissect the topics. Now, analysis of rural economy in Konkan region, analysis of agriculture, non-agriculture subsectors in the region, measures and determinant of Konkan region development, strategies, policies for sustainable development of Konkan region, tourism, rural marketing in Konkan region, employment, poverty, eradication management in Konkan region, natural resources, infrastructure management in Konkan region, financing rural management programs in Konkan region, implementation, monitoring, evaluation of growth-oriented programs in Konkan region. Now, these are the sub areas of Konkan region, and there is a lot of scope. Again, you can percolate down and you can dissect this area, analysis of agriculture, non-agriculture subsector in region, right? Each topic can be explored and can be make it into researchable statement, and you can identify research problem by rightly using 7-step approach. So again, it depends upon your knowledge, your inclination, again, your inculcative mind of research, which is very important. Aptitude of research, right? Literature review, right? Your experiences play a significant role to explore the problem area. It's very important. Now, important areas and issues of global business research, general information about country, economic, social condition and political environment, culture, consumer behaviors, factors, market, competitive market. So you can also do research at a global level, right? I have done one research. It has nicely come out on foreign direct investment in India, right? We have selected 15 sectors, good sectors, right? And we have just actually referred the last 5 years data, and we have wonderfully done on foreign direct investment and its economic impact on India, right? So we identified 15 sectors, and last 5 years data we have referred, and we have done a good research on that. So lot of issues are there. One can do it. Hello, hello, बोला madam. ठीक है झालं झालं चलो okay. Yeah. So you can do it. Now these are the various questions one has to address. Research proposal happens to be in the respect of what is the study about and its goal objectives, why is the study being made, specific problem to be investigated, what is the literature review, gap analysis, what type of data are required, What are the sources, technique, method of data collection? What method of time, period of time will the study include, time frame and cost benefit analysis? What will be the sample design? What will be the measurement scale? How will be the data analyzed and interpreted? In what style report be prepared? So when you're talking about the research, when you're talking about the research problem and research questions, right? And about the research study, these are the various questions one has to address so that you will get a lot of insight about your research study. Problem definition, these are the important question you need to address. What is the purpose of the study? What are the objective of the study? How much is already known? Is additional background information necessary? What is to be measured? How it should be measured? Can the data be made available? Can a hypothesis be formulated? Should research be conducted? Address these questions in while you are identifying the research problem. Basic research design. I just told you three type of design. What type of question need to be answered? Are a descriptive, exploratory, experimental, causal required? What is the source of data? Can objective answers be obtained by asking people? How quick is the information needed? How should survey question be worded? How should experimental manipulation be made? Sampling, who, what is the source of the data? Can the target population be achieved? Is a sample is necessary? How accurate must be made, a sample made? Is a probability sampling necessary? How large sample is necessary? How will the sample be selected? Questions. Gathering, what is the source of data? How will gather the data? How long will data gathering take? How much supervision needed? What techniques method will data collectors need to follow? All these are evaluation. Will standardized editing coding procedure be utilized? How will the data be categorized? Will computer handled tabulation be utilized? So these are the various questions one has to be addressed when you talk about the research proposal and research questions. Even reports also, it is a business or academic report. Who will read the report? Are manager recommendation required? Are any model need to be suggested? How many presentations are required? What will be the format or written reports? Right? All these are very important. Overall evaluation, how much will the study cost? Is the time frame acceptable? Do we need outside help? When should be the research begin? Will the research design attain the goal started research objective? Who will analyze or evaluate the report? All these questions should be addressed. Now, there are number of crucial research choices and differentiate type schemes of the research area. Now, I just told you, depending upon your research statement, you can actually define the research study design. It may be descriptive, the identification of the research problem and the study design. There is no water type compartment. So one research problem area can have a maybe more than one research design. So it can be descriptive, exploratory, or correlation. It can be descriptive, correlational. It can be exploratory, descriptive, correlational. It can be exploratory and descriptive. It can be correlational and exploratory design. It can be case study design. So there is no water type compartment. One research problem area, a problem research problem can be have more than one type of research design possible. No, you know what is case study. So I will not talk on case study. There is no time now. This is again very important. Classification of research design on the basis of your research statement, right? So you need to identify the different categories of research design, different perspective from which given study can be viewed and with certain characteristics you can view. The degree of formulation of the problem, the study may be exploratory, problem may be exploratory. The topic scope and depth of the scopes case study, research environment, laboratory field study, laboratory experiment, contribute, right? Survey, non-contribute, right? You don't have a control on the external factors, variables, right? Time dimension, cross-sectional, one-time study, one time you are collecting data, or longitudinal research. If I ask this question, this what is your study design? Is a longitudinal design. The student get fumble. So if you are collecting data from a same respondent on different intervals, so it's a longitudinal, pre, post, or with a certain time interval, one time research, one time data collection, cross sectional, right? Managed from variable under study, experimental correlational. Describe characteristics, nature of relation among the variables, descriptive correlation study, right? The mode of data collection, observational or survey. So these are the certain insight pertaining to the research study design and then research problem. So in detail, I will not go because there is no time now. Now this is again very important. Just last slide, I will concentrate on, give some insight, and then we'll close it. So significant component of your research design, problem area, and what should be the content of your research proposal. This is very important, right? So what should be the content of your research proposal? When you are talking about the research problem area, how to explore the research problem, formulation of the research problem through appropriate research methodology in the way of research proposal. These are the content. Introduction of the executive summary, statement of the problem, rationale and need of the study, review of previous studies and literature, gap analysis, conceptual theoretical framework, that is association of different variables, and model building, research questions, again very important, that is research objectives, hypothesis, research design, sample design, method of data collection, profile of a company, sector, geographical area to be covered, method used for data analysis and interpretation, significance of the study, limitations of the study, times scheduled, financial budget. This is very important for the business research, cost benefit analysis, and there are different type of feasibility, operational costs, feasibility study. I just discussed with you, operational feasibility, technical feasibility, ethical, legal, social, etc. Expected result, policy, managerial implications, chapter schemes, right? So this should be the content of your research proposal. So the way you actually identify and formulate the research problem will definitely assist you to explore all these components. Again, very important. Give me a topic statement. I will explore that topic into this areas. So that confidence level you need to develop, which is again very important. So this is the insight, and I conclude here. Thank you very much for your patience. I hope I have just completed as per the given time frame. Yes,
Thank you, sir, so much for a very valuable insight and a very amazing session. I request all the participants that we are now open for question and answer round.
I hope actually you got some insight on the given topic of formulation of the research problem.
Very valuable insights, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sir, may I please request you to please stop this share screen so we are able to take the questions.
Doctor, your session is fantastic. Very great,
madam.
very great. अरे बहुत
You
बहुत
enjoyed?
अच्छा, बढ़िया बढ़िया.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you. So I have stopped the screen sharing, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, madam, you enjoyed, na?
Of course, each and
Yes,
every word. Thank you.
Areva. Yeah.
अरे मला आता I feel like doing one more PhD now.
No, research paper. You can do jointly. We can do research paper, madam. Research paper.
Yeah. We will write. We will write some papers. Yes.
A category paper. A category paper.
Done.
Yeah. I request all the participants to please post your questions in the chat box. So may I?
Yes.
So there is a question by Krishna Shinde, and he has requested, can you go through a light on constructing research model based on variable? What I understand it, he wants us to throw some light on the constructing a research model based on the variables.
Yes, sir. Actually, madam, it is a altogether different topic. Identification of research problem. Because identification of research problem, there are different types of research problem, right? Research variables, right? So this is a complete altogether and a different topic, right? I have to see his actually uh, uh, problem area. I have to see his research problems. I have to see his research objectives. And then one can identify there are different types of variables, 4 variables. One is dependent variable, one is independent variable, one is moderating variable, one is intervening variable, right? Now, in moderating variable play a significant role, which can change the relationship between dependent variable and independent variable, either in a positive direction or negative direction. So for that, I need to understand his research problem area, again, then his research objectives. Unless and until I go through his research proposal, I will not come to know. But I'm just giving you some insight on that. So moderating variable will change the relationship between the dependent and independent variable, either in positive direction or a negative direction, right? So the other situation is nothing but the intervening variable. So intervening variable, again, it's a hidden variable which can change the relationship between the moderating variable and the dependent variable, either in a positive direction or a negative direction. So we need to actually see, because these factors one has to identify out of his or her research proposal, which is again very important. So it is depending upon the topic, the research objectives, and this is very important. So now for my research study, for every research student, I just insist them to construct a conceptual framework of the research study. So conceptual framework of the research study is nothing but identification of different variables and constructing their association. And there is one book, ask him to refer, there is one book called by Business Research Method by Uma Shekharan. Method by Uma Shekharan, and ask him to refer that book. In that book, it is given how to identify certain variables, and there is a one case study called as Delta case study. If you go through the case study, you will understand actually how one can now build a conceptual framework of the research study. Okay. So
Thank you, sir.
I could have taken one full session on identification of variables. For that, I need 3 hours session. It's very difficult at this moment to explore inside on that.
Thank you, sir. Next time, sir. Next time.
Yeah. With example,
Next
I will
time.
take it. With example, I will take it. And there are different case studies also I have developed it, a smaller case studies. Through that, I could have make them analyze the what is the dependent, how to identify dependent independent variable from a given case study and construct a model. But I know I don't have time now actually at this moment.
Thank you, sir. So one more question by Dr. Mohammed Salim. He would request you to elaborate on observational research and how to verify the authenticity of the data collected by observation method.
No, no. Observation, listen to me. Observation method is very good. Actually, it's a way of observing the phenomena or a situation, right? Now, it's a way of data collection. It's a way of data collection. Now, sometimes how you record the responses through observational methods. You can also visualize, you can also observe, and certain there is a now technology tools are available. Now your web cameras are available, right? You can see the people behavior with and record the responses, right? Certain logbooks are there. You can ask them to maintain the diary. Through that also you can observe the phenomena, right? So you can actually web camera recording, right? Even biometric devices are there. So a good number of tools and techniques are available depending upon the research study. You can actually use the various technological tools and you can observe the phenomena. We can just normally in the organization also we observe the behavior of an employee, situation, phenomena, but through website, web cameras, and we can come to the situations and you can understand the situation, try to identify the problem also. So there is a good method actually. It can be verifiable because evidence you can anyhow record with the help of devices actually. Not an issue.
Thank you, sir. There is another question by CA Orel. He would like to have a clarity on the topic of his research. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question? Orel Moses? Yeah, you can please unmute.
Sadiya, ask him to unmute.
Ma'am, I've asked him to unmute. He's posted the question. The question is he would like you to, his topic, PhD research topic, sir, is a study on the financial performance of food and beverage startups in Thane. So according to this topic, what kind of research is recommended for his research methodology?
I have to see actually research methodology. Hello?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Research. So, Anna,
Yes, sir.
I will go through the research proposal, Anna, because a lot of insights are there actually. So it can be exploratory and descriptive research study, and we need to
Correct.
see the various objectives of it, right? And then Anna, inside you can just note or ask him to give my number. My
Yes,
mobile
sir.
number is 9819361848. I will definitely give him some insight on his research proposal.
Thank you, sir. We have,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
All right. Hmm.
So there is another question, Pranav, by Pranav Indulkar. So the question that he's posted is, should we test moderating and intervening variables which create impact on the relationship between independent and dependent variable?
So you can actually intervening variables also. You can every variable can be tested. No doubt about. You can actually do it. No issue in that. Actually, how you construct the hypothesis that play a significant role. So again, you need to correlate with your research objectives, and again, significantly is your research variable, right? And depending upon your research objectives, you need to rightly identify the research variables, and research variable will give you and help you assist you to construct the research hypothesis. Not an issue actually.
Thank you, sir. So there
And
is
again,
another question.
depends upon your objectives, what you would like to achieve, right? By testing those hypotheses. Are you really achieving your objectives? That play a significant role.
Thank you, sir. Pranav, I hope that answered your question. Sir,
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Another question by Rutuja Kamble. Her research topic is impact of digitalization on MSME in Andheri area. The question is, should I need to dissect this topic more, or I need to specify any industry that is going to be the study of interest?
Yeah, what is the topic?
Impact of digitalization on MSE in Andheri area.
This a topic is actually justifiable, not an issue actually, because she has covered the geography also, and topic is clear, not an issue actually in the topic.
Sir, a question by research scholar Santosh Datkile. He would like to ask, how many questions are to be asked in the questionnaire if it is a correlational research?
Listen to me. All these are not. This is depending upon your research objectives, what you want to explore it. But actually, normally, what I and your research objectives and research objectives. Very importantly, research objectives. What you would like to achieve it, and if you are actually targeting all the variables, covering all the variables through which your research objectives are achieved, accordingly, you have to explore the research question. And it's a very important that how you build your research questionnaire play a significant role to accomplish a research study. So normally, I spend a lot of time in developing a research questions.
Okay.
So how you explore the research question play a very significant role. So when you are exploring the research questions, and the research question should be of multiple choice only. The research question should be used by Likert scale. Again, very important. The research question also there are different type of scaling technique. So there is a one full topic on measurement scale. There are certain rating scale. There are certain ranking scale. how systematically you use the rating scale and ranking scale and convert the research question exhaustively, right? That play a significant role to collect all kind of data so that it can be justified to use the research objectives actually.
Thank you, sir. So we have an international student with us online, and
so there is
there
is a one topic on measurement scale. Ask him to refer the measurement scale topic, and again he can refer that business research method by Uma Shekhar. It is a good book. And high level,
Okay.
if you want to refer, there is one book on business research method by William Zigmund, and it is an international book and very good book on research methodology.
All right, sir. Thank you. So we have an international student with us, Kaletso. You can unmute and also start the video and speak to sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. My name is Keletso. My topic is utilizing natural resources to end poverty in a sustainable way by leveraging psychological support. It's an analysis of Sukuma village in Botswana. So my question is, under aspects of study, is it possible that you can combine the two, being people and the problem, or it's supposed to be only about one, the 4 Ps?
I could not understand the question properly.
Kaletso,
under the 4 Ps, yes.
Kaletso, please repeat your question.
I'm saying my question is, under the aspect of a study, the 4 Ps,
right,
is it possible that, yes, is it possible that the study can be about people and the problem, like combination of two, or it's supposed to be only about?
No, it can be combination of two, madam. What is your unit of analysis? Hello?
Sorry?
What is your unit of analysis? From whom you will be collecting the response? What will be from whom you will be collecting the responses?
Well, I'll be collecting from the community interviews.
It can be from both actually. People and the hello. It can be from both actually. What is your unit of analysis play a significant role? What is a unit of analysis play a significant role? Hello.
Kaletso, who are your respondents?
From whom you will be collecting data?
My respondents are the community within the village.
Yeah, then the both can be applicable, subject area as well as the population.
Yeah. Okay.
Both.
Thank you, sir.
Both. Yes, both.
Just two. Thank you, Kaletso. Thank you, sir.
I have one more suggestion to her. Just go through your research objectives and then accordingly you can identify. You will get some hint on it actually. See your research objectives.
Thank you, Kaletso. We just have another 10 minutes to go. And sir, there is a question by Rupali Patil. Is it necessary to get the questionnaire checked by a qualified statistician? Do we really?
No, instead of statistician, I say a good researcher. If a guiding researcher is sufficient enough to actually give you some insight on your research, or even your guide is also more than sufficient to give you direction about your research. And while I always as a suggestion, if you want to really test your research questions, do some sort of pilot study. So
all right,
pilot study will give you the direction, and after pilot study also you can modify your question. So take the assistance of your guide, do some sort of pilot study with the 50 or 100 sample, and see whether you are appropriately getting certain and analyze it and achieving your objectives. If you are fine enough, go ahead with it. Otherwise, get some insight from your guide, and you can accordingly accomplish it. So it's very important to do a pilot study. So with the pilot study, definitely you can actually resolve all your issues pertaining to your questionnaire and data collection.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. So the last question for the session. The research topic is financial literacy and its impact in executive women in the metropolitan cities. The researcher wants to know, should I take all the metropolitan cities or should I specify the industry and the city?
Metropolitan city, she can mention selected metropolitan city also. And because what is the sample size she is targeting, again, that's very important. So, if she, again, how she can get the data collection is also very important, justifiable method of data collection. Because if she is getting a data across all metropolitan city, but the scope will be very wide, I just recommend her that at least even Bombay metropolitan city is more than sufficient, right?
Yeah.
One metropolitan city is more than sufficient, right?
Correct.
And because 4 metropolitan cities, the population is very wide, and getting the data is also very difficult. So instead of getting all four, one metropolitan city is more than sufficient.
Thank you. I hope all the questions are answered. Sir, there are some questions. What should be the sample size for a research paper?
For research paper, again, depends upon your research problem. Again, objectives also plays very important. But I suggest that more than 100 or 200 is very important.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable time. More than 100 participants, and I'm getting feedback in the chat box that it was a very informative and a very lovely topic, the way you explained to us, sir. Ma'am, could you please conclude?
Thank you very much, Dr. Chavan.
Yes,
thank you very much. A lot of compliments to you. And I'm so glad you accepted our invitation and you gave this excellent session with such a lot of nitty-gritties. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Thank you very much for inviting me here to share few insight on the given topic, madam.
Thank you.
My
Bye,
pleasure.
sir.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, madam. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for your valuable time. I request all the participants to, if there are any questions, could you please send it across on chat box? We'll address it. And also, by 1:30, we will be circulating the assessment MCQs.
Yes, sir.
The exam link will be available. Thank you so much.